Hey, what's up, guys? This is your boy Anime Mega Reviews, and today I got Black Clover Chapter 276 review. And let me just tell you guys, look, I'm going to automatically rate this chapter a 8 out of 10. However, I do have one criticism, and no, guys, I do not hate Yuno. However, I'm going to get into the little criticism that I do have towards the end of this chapter, and this is something that maybe will be explained, I guess, after this chapter, sort of like in Black Clover Chapter 277. But overall, again, guys, I'm going to rate this chapter a 8 out of 10 right even before I get out the gate, because this chapter was action-packed, and it's good to see Yuno back in action. It's good to see our boy, you know, actually getting some work done. But without further wait, the chapter really opens up with Yuno and Langris confronting Zenon, which was kind of a surprise because I didn't necessarily think that was going to be like the first fight that we will see. And Zenon, you know, he's talking his trash. He's like, yo, how did you survive? A couple rats had just snuck into the palace. So obviously, you know, Zenon, he is sort of surprised by this, but he's not exactly shocked. You know, it's kind of weird with Zenon. He always maintains this cool guy vibe throughout the whole entire situation. He doesn't seem like he's worried. However, that's definitely going to change by the end of the chapter. But throughout all of this, you know, they're talking their trash. And that's the one thing that I do like about Yuno and Zenon, is that throughout this whole entire fight, they're both talking their trash. And even Langris is talking a little bit of trash. Even our boy Langris is getting in on the action. They do a lot of talking. That's something that I really didn't expect Zenon to just do. Like, Zenon really is that type of dude that talks trash even before the fight even starts. He's like, yo, didn't you die? Like, what are you doing here? I thought I already taught you a lesson. I guess I'm going to have to do it again. And you know, he's ready for action. You know, he's not that little boy no more. Like, he's ready for the work. And this chapter starts off with a blast when our boy, Yuno, automatically launches this wind attack. He's like, look, I'm going to take you down for what you did to the Golden Dawn, to my family. And throughout this whole entire fight, this is the one thing that I really have to give credit to Yuno, is that, Yuno, he's a great thinker. And that's the one thing that I would say that he has over Asta at the moment. Asta, he has more instinct than anything else. He's kind of like Goku, whereby Goku, he fights on instinct. And that's the one difference that I saw throughout this whole entire fight, is that as they're fighting you, we sort of get this inner monologue in Yuno's mind where he's dictating which attacks that he should use against Zenon. He knows that his bone magic is for melee defense, and he's going to use his spatial magic sort of like for offense as well. However, I didn't really think that Zenon would use bone magic to a degree such as for like defenses. That's the one thing that Yuno had picked up, is that, you know, he's a very smart and talented mage throughout this whole entire series. I definitely believe that he's more talented than Asta. I definitely believe that he's more talented than pretty much anyone, maybe besides Luck, and he's very intelligent. And the one thing that we kind of forget is that Luck is also very talented and a smart tactician as well. But in this panel right here, our boy Langris, you know, he's not just going to sit on the sidelines. He's going to get into this fight as well. And even still, we see that, you know, he's thinking about this as the fight goes along. He's like, no, Zenon, he has to use his devil power. He has to do this. He has to do that. He's a very smart guy, and I like that Yuki Tabata really showed this with Yuno's character, because we have seen it before, but not to this extent. It shows us that besides the training, Yuno did think about a lot of things through. You know, he's like the Albert Einstein of the Black Clover universe. He's always going to have a plan, and it really showed in this fight. Now, the one thing that I did want to see more from Langris was sort of more like aggression and more skill from his side, because Langris is a powerful mage in his own right. But he kind of was getting fodderized in this fight. I'm not saying that he was getting like killed or whatever, but at the same time, he really didn't help out too much with Zenon's spatial magic. And I understand that the whole point of Langris being there is to help out with his spatial magic attacks against Zenon. And even Zenon points this out. He's like, that's the only reason why you're here. He figures this out pretty quickly. And that also lets us know that Zenon, you know, he's not dumb like Dante, but I don't know about that actually towards the end of this chapter. I may have to change my opinion about Zenon. However, at the same time, Zenon, he is a smart guy, so he realizes that he might need to take out Langris first before he needs to take out Yuno. And that is when we get this awesome scene right here. Like, that's the one thing I have to say about this whole entire chapter. The art is just amazing. It truly is. And in this panel right here, we actually see that Zenon, he talks a little bit more about the spatial magic, and it lets us know that essentially spatial magic, his form of spatial magic, shares so many commonalities with Langris, but also with Fernals as well. I believe it's like 3 types of spatial magic. I believe there's the one for offensive and there's defenses and also there's portals as well. And Zenon, he doesn't necessarily teleport anywhere. That's the one main thing that I saw throughout this whole entire fight is that he stays in the same spot throughout the whole entire fight with his hands in his pockets. I know that Zenon is a savage. I call him Big Zenon. But my gosh, dude, like, could you move around? And that's kind of weird. I think that he's very different than the other Dark Triad members. Dante likes to fight. Vonica loves to fight. Vonica is a savage. But Zenon, he just stays there and just pretty much battles that way. Like, he has his hand in his pocket. It's almost like he's too cool to fight. Like, he's too cool to actually do anything in this fight. And I don't know, that may be his downfall at the end of the day, because it's kind of weird to see the rest of the Dark Triad members so eager to battle people, so eager to use their powers. But Zenon, he's kind of recluse. He's kind of passive a little bit. Don't get me wrong, he is a psychopath. He is a killer. He is a savage. But at the same time, it's like maybe he feels sort of like narcissistic, but then that would be Dante's trait, not necessarily Zenon's trait, or rather his character profile. So it's kind of odd to see this. But that is when we see a new spell, or rather maybe an old spell, because I believe that Zenon had used this originally in this fight between himself and YUNO, but he traps Langris and YUNO in this new dimension, which is pretty awesome. Like, we have not seen another spatial mage able to do this. Like, maybe Langris can do this in the future, maybe possibly Finral. Maybe Finral could activate a new power, because we know that mages use new power in times of distress. So maybe in this arc we could actually see that. But right now I would definitely say that they are trapped. I don't believe that Langris can actually use teleportation spatial magic. I believe he's only an offensive mage. But it's pretty awesome to see this. Now, as far as the effects of this spell, apparently it makes it harder for mages to be able to use their spells in this dimension. You guys could check me on that, because I believe that that's what the translation says. It's kind of confusing, especially with the fan translation. And hopefully when the Viz translation comes out, that makes it more clear, because I wasn't exactly sure, was this similar to Magicula's magic falling spell, where it's very hard for mages to use their spells, or it just suppresses it. And that's what Zenon was really trying to do. And I kind of expected more from Zenon a little bit in this fight. I expected something similar to what Dante did, but maybe just points to how powerful Dante is. And it is when they are in this zone that Zenon, he goes for the finishing blow. He doesn't toy with his food like Vonica or Dante. Like, he is aiming for the kill. And that's what I like about Zenon. His character profile, again, guys, he does not play around. However, our boy YUNO and Langris, they come prepared, because that is when we see our boy YUNO. He pulls something out of the bag that I didn't think he had in him. I definitely expected him to come back from this training arc to be a lot more powerful than he was when he faced off against Zenon the first time. But I had no idea that all of this was going to happen. We knew that Bale was hiding in YUNO's grimoire for a very long time, possibly up to at least 2 days, 2 to 3 days, to gain like a lot of mana. And just even from this transformation and how powerful they got, I could only imagine how powerful could they really get if Bale stays in the grimoire for a very long time and just sucks up all the mana. And this maybe goes into YUNO's 4-leaf clover and just his somehow lenient ability to just attract mana to himself. Even in this pocket dimension where it's obviously very hard to get mana, he's able to harness all this mana. Bale looks to be like completely fine. And that's the one main thing that I saw. Like, Bale, she has a new transformation. I'm happy to see it. I'm going to bring it out right now because it has to be shown. Like, it just has to. Our girl Belle done glowed up. I mean, he calls her out of his grimoire. She looks more powerful. She has this long hair. Looks like she got kind of like some new armor going on. She got wings. But that's when we get this new transformation from our boy YUNO. And I have to say, I got to give him a round of applause. And to be honest, does this transformation seems a little bit rushed? Yes. Does his power-up seem to be classic with Yuki Tabata in terms of showing YUNO just gaining this power out of nowhere? Yes, YUNO did train, but he doesn't exactly struggle as hard as Asta. However, I do have to say the design for this is so amazing. I know that people may say different names about this new form. However, look, I just got to say, y'all, it's amazing to see YUNO doing all of this. And Zenon is pretty surprised by this. Now, obviously, YUNO, in one way or another, has found a way to sneak this mana into this pocket dimension. That is the reason why it's overpowering the dominant space of the spatial magic, whatever spell that Zenon had used. And this is the reason why our boy Zenon is pretty surprised right now. He had no idea that YUNO was going to bring this out of his bag. And that is when our boy YUNO, like, I just got to give it to him. His showing is pretty awesome. Now, I know that Asta's showing is going to be way better. Like, he's the main character. Also, he's going to have to fight literally the strongest Dark Triad member. But I would definitely say that I'm going to change my opinion if we actually see Zenon's demon make a full appearance and show his name, because we have not seen this at all. Like, his demon is still pretty much a mystery, and that's the scary part about Zenon, is that we don't know anything about his demon or the full extent of his powers. But right now it's all about Yuno. Yuno just appears in front of him, and he talks his trash. He's like, you are all dying here right now. And he uses this spell. He goes through Zenon's defenses and he just punches him right in his chest, man, like right in his grill with his axe. I tell you what, Zenon, look, man, you got to go at least 70%. You can't go 55% forever, but I have to say, Zenon might lose his marbles next chapter. Now, as far as my prediction, Zenon going to wipe the floor with Yuno. Like, he will literally rip him in half next chapter, and they're going to have to get help, possibly from Nozel. Finral may have to actually, come into this chapter. What I mean by that is, like, the Black Bulls, they haven't arrived yet. And I could sense that if he feels like his brother's in danger, then he's going to have to. Like, Finral's the only one that can actually open up a portal. And so you don't really want to be in a cage with a screws loose Zenon at 70 or 80%. And I can see some people right now saying, well, maybe Yuno can keep up with a 70% Zenon or 80%. No, he can't. You guys know he can't. If Yami had trouble with 80% Dante, and Dante is somewhat comparable to Zenon in terms of power, Yuno ain't doing that. Like, I know for a fact that Yuno fanboys after this chapter, they're like, yeah, he's Wizard King level now. But anyway, guys, that does it for me today. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're new. Also, comment down below and tell me what you guys loved about this video. Again, guys, I don't hate Zenon. I don't hate Yuno. So if you guys actually hear me saying some negative comments about these two characters, just know it's just a critique. I actually like Zenon's character, and I like Yuno's character to some extent. I just want him to struggle more for his power, because obviously, yeah, that's my only critique about this chapter. It's just, Yuno doesn't really struggle to get power like Asta does. Asta has to go through nails and fire and all this stuff just to get power. So yeah, that's my only thing about it. But anyway, guys, that does it for me today, and peace.